The Iowa Hawkeyes and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights potentially on their way to one of the lowest scoring games in college football this season. And that says a lot when you consider the fact that Iowa won a 7-3 contest just 2 weeks ago. The Hawkeyes and the Scarlet Knights this Saturday playing under the lights in Piscataway. Of course, this is not an official game preview. We'll be releasing that here in the coming days. But I'll tell you, the over-under, when you look at this, according to Barstool Sportsbook, right now it's on track to maybe be the lowest over-under in the history of college football. According to Barstool Sportsbook, the current total for Iowa Rutgers is 34.5. The record was Vanderbilt and Mizzou back in 2015 and Iowa, Wisconsin in 2021. Ironically enough, neither one of those games reached the over. So can Iowa find a way to score against this Rutgers defense? I think we have to acknowledge the fact that Rutgers has not played Murderers Row, a Boston College team that's probably at best an average ACC team, although it was on the road. You look at the defensive numbers in that game, they held Boston College for the game to just 312 yards, just 29 yards on the ground. They're predicated on stopping the run. If Iowa can't get the run game going, and it struggled much of that game against Nevada, I don't care what the final totals were. Let's recall, too, that Caleb Johnson, bursts out for 2 big runs. And I know you can't take those runs away, but they struggled to run the ball basically every other snap besides those 2 big plays. And that was reflected in the final numbers. Rutgers went on to play Wagner, where they were able to inflate their offensive numbers, held Wagner to just 7 points. Now, Wagner's a disaster of an FCS opponent. Wagner just 145 total yards, 19 yards on the ground. Sound like an Iowa total there. And then, of course, this past week, Rutgers kind of a weird game going on the road and playing at Temple, who is also not a very good football team right now, holding Rutgers to 49 yards on the ground. Rutgers also just totaled 59 passing yards in this game. They've played several quarterbacks. That's going to keep the over-under low. Iowa, of course, has not had a ton of stability at the quarterback position. They also haven't had a ton of health at wide receiver. Now, Keegan Johnson, Kirk Ferentz talked today. It sounds like Keegan Johnson's in danger of missing another game. Did he come back too soon? Hindsight's 2020. We'll see. Iowa's supposed to be getting Justin Jacobs back potentially this weekend. So, to me, the developments, if there are any, the Keegan Johnson injury now maybe relapsing a bit, Iowa getting back a key component on defense and Justin Jacobs paired with Rutgers' issues at quarterback. They've played 3 different quarterbacks. Noah Vedral, who was perceived to be the starter heading into the year, questionable for this game. They may be going with a walk-on. You look at the total numbers for these 2 teams, and again, they play different schedules. We know Iowa's dead last in total offense, and it's not even close. They're averaging 217 yards per game. Yes, I factored in the Nevada game. 217.7 yards per game. Not even close to 130, which is held by another disaster of an offense in New Mexico State, averaging just 233.5. But that's a difference of nearly 16 yards, and that's significant when you're averaging out 3 to 4 games. The Aggies have actually played 4 games. Now, Rutgers, on the other hand, they don't have a great offense either. I mentioned some of the numbers. Right now, they're hovering around 91 in total offense. So neither of these teams, and keep in mind, Rutgers' numbers are inflated because they played a disaster of a Wagner team where the Scarlet Knights put up, look at the total yardage for that game, 585 total yards against Wagner. They have been held in check in each of the other 2 games. You look at total defense, both these teams tremendous. Iowa right now 4th in the country, Rutgers 3rd in the country. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say Iowa's defense is better. I think Iowa's defense and special teams unit is likely to be better. But let's not forget, too, that Rutgers has a tremendous punter in Adam Korsak. This is going to be a battle of the punters this week. I wish it wasn't, but that's what it is. Those are these 2 teams' best weapons on the football field. Rutgers holding opponents to 240 yards per game. Iowa, 195 per game. Look, I don't know how this game ends up in the 20s. If it does, I'll be surprised. Perhaps it's a result of some special teams plays, including maybe a kick or a punt return. Iowa hasn't had a ton of success at kick return so far this season, but Caleb Johnson now sounds like he's the clear return man. He was listed on the depth chart this week after returning a kick against Nevada over the weekend. and perhaps you can generate a safety or a pick six. Terry Roberts has had a couple pick sixes. He's had an opportunity to a couple pick sixes, one of which was a pick six that got called back because of a penalty. So we'll continue to talk about this game moving forward, folks. But I just wanted to check in with you and kind of discuss where we're at right now, because I just, if you think the offense is, based upon some progress against Nevada, if you think it's just going to jolt into place this week, I think you've got another thing coming. Want to extend some appreciation to our sponsors, Ascent Nutrition and their Ascent Coffee. Go ascentnutrition.com. Mold and mycotoxin free. It's pure, it's clean, it's great stuff. Use the code Hawkeyes at checkout for 15% off. And Randy Engel down at Under the Kitchen in Mitchellville. Original Hawkeye prints, Hawkeye art, signed and unsigned prints available. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook for more details. I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We'll chat soon.